Welcome to Chitote Omnia, where total amateurs attempt to spur real conversations for learning. Today we'll be discussing how Amazonian tree frogs get wood. According to the World Wildlife Foundation, of the amphibians that are found in the Amazon, frogs, toads, and tree frogs are the most abundant. The Amazon is a unique biome that occupies an approximately 7 million square kilometer area of the continent of South America. Of that area, 5.5 million square kilometers makes up the Amazonian rainforest. A rainforest is defined as a region of broadleaf forest, or jungle, that has no dry season and an average precipitation of 60 millimeters per month. The rainforest extends through several nations, including Colombia, Venezuela, Guyana, Suriname, French Guiana, Peru, Bolivia, and of course Brazil. Frogs are any member of a short-tailed, largely carnivorous, amphibian in the taxonomic order of Anura. Frogs themselves account for roughly 88% of extant amphibian species. There is no taxonomic distinction between frogs and toads. The warty frogs that we refer to as toads are only informally distinct. The habitats of adult frogs include freshwater, dry land, underground, and trees. A tree frog is any frog who spends the majority of their life in the trees or shrubs. Tree frog species will typically only descend from their leafy habitats to mate or spawn. The Amazon contains a staggering 10% of the biodiversity of the planet, which includes a large number of species of tree frogs. Tree frogs are typically small due to their need to carry their own weight into the trees. However, some species can grow to be 10 centimeters. These adaptations tend to make tree frogs more slender and smaller than their terrestrial counterparts. Of the 5 families of true tree frogs, those found in South America include Hylidae and Centrolinidae, with Hylidae being the most adapted to life in the trees. Those in the genus Tepeuhyla are directly referred to as Amazon tree frogs. Those frogs in the family Centrolinidae are known as glass frogs due to their transparent skin, allowing for a clear view of their internal organs. Being arboreal, glass frogs will only leave the trees for the purposes of mating. The females of this order will typically brood their eggs on the leaves or branches of trees and shrubs that are overhanging moving water. This usually occurs at night, wherein the eggs are then fertilized. By using the cover of night, the survival of the eggs is more likely. Some species will lay their eggs nearer the water's edge, close to waterfalls or moving streams. While most frog species will lay their clutch of eggs and leave them to hatch and develop on their own, some members, as many as a third of the Centrolinidae, the male will guard the eggs until they hatch as tadpoles. This protects the eggs from various fly and wasp species to which the eggs are vulnerable. The tadpoles, after hatching, will fall into the waters below to continue to develop. Frogs in the order of Hylidae lay their eggs in different locations based on their species. Some species will lay eggs in puddles or pools that collect in the leaves or crotches of the trees they inhabit. Some species seek out bromelid plant species or other species of water-holding plants. Similar to the Centrolinidae, some species will lay on the surfaces of leaves overhanging water, so that the tadpoles will slide into the water below following hatching. Few species of the Hylidae will lay in fast-flowing streams. Tadpoles of these species have adapted suckers to allow them to attach to the streambed rocks and material after hatching. A unique adaptation of some Hylidae species is the ability for the females to brood their eggs on their backs. It is easy to know when it is tree frog mating season. Much like the typical karaoke bar in North America, the crooning and croaking of the tree frogs indicates their desire to mate. Tree frogs are normally solitary animals, excepting when they are ready to mate. Some species mate when it is colder, while others during warm weather. Some species preferring to mate only after it has rained. The most common breeding practice amongst tree frogs is the lek. The lek is an aggregation of males who compete in displays of courtship rituals intended to lure the females to choose a prospective mate. A male will produce vocalizations that advertise their gender as well as their species. Females are careful in their choosing, often preferring males with longer calls, as this may be an indicator of strength or fitness. Satellite males may stay in the area in order to move in at the last moment and steal a female away for mating before their preferred mate is able. Males may remain in the area after mating in the hopes of finding another eligible female. While most animals have a single mating position, frogs have as many as 7. The typical mating position is referred to as amplexus. There are 2 types of amplexus: inguinal, wherein the female is grasped by the male around the waist, and axillary, where the male grasps the female behind the forelimbs. Amongst tree frogs, amplexus is axillary. The purpose of amplexus seems to be to align the cloaca of mating pairs. The male will release sperm as eggs are deposited by the female. Amplexus may be aided by nuptial pads on the male, which are secondary sexual characteristics and excrete hormones as well as aid in grip. Frogs are often in mating positions long before the mating begins. Some species may remain in mating positions for hours or even days or months before completing the act of mating. This is obviously difficult for the mating pair, especially the female, who is forced to carry her suitor around for the duration, affecting swimming, walking, and feeding. Males will not eat at all during this period, and there is evidence that males with stronger forelimbs and nuptial pads are more successful. The effects of climate change on frog mating practices is not fully understood. Warmer winters and cooler summers may have an effect on when mating begins, and may also affect the number of eggs produced. While not an Amazonian species, research suggests that heat does not affect female interpretation of male mating calls in gray tree frogs in North America. While behavior may be unaffected, changes in habitat may have a greater negative effect. Deforestation of the Amazon rainforest removes the trees and other plants that the tree frogs rely on. Researchers from the United Kingdom, investigating the canopies of Panamanian rainforests, discovered that increased dry seasons may be having an effect on tree frogs who use the puddles within the canopies. As a result, populations of all tree frogs in the Amazon are in decline. Researchers are interested in using the tree frogs as a bioindicator of the effects of global climate change. An effect of the deforestation and disappearing canopy habitat may be leaving mating tree frogs without a bed to lie in.